Hello there, thanks a lot for dropping by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and this is one of my favorite posters in rock and roll history, so I'm doing it for the second time around. Now that's because I previously did the larger version, the Jumbo 22 by 28, from the night before in Buffalo, New York, and this is the smaller, about 17 by 23 inch version from Rochester, New York the next night. Also, the other poster was laminated in plastic, so we didn't get too good a look at the actual cardboard. And it was 7 years ago, so I have better camera equipment and everything. So that was my impetus for doing this again, but I won't be redundant. I won't go through all the same stuff that I did last time. But I will come in and show you America's greatest teenage recording stars, all in person. Boy, you just gotta love that. It is so 50s. And so sock hop type of stuff, right? Great headline to start things off. And you've got a ton of really fun hit makers, led of course by the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Wow. And just awesome, stunning graphics by Globe Poster out of Baltimore. This thing just really tickles my fancy design-wise, including with the colors. Just amazing. So, well, the good news is it wasn't used for just one concert. It was used for a tour for 2.5 weeks. But the bad news is it was used for only 2.5 weeks. Wow. I mean, the previous year, 57, there were a couple of beautifully designed Biggest Show of Stars tour posters that I blogged repeatedly, and those were used for 2.5 months. So, 2.5 weeks just seems like the blink of an eye, but at least we did get multiple posters out of this. And so, tour blank up top there, that's where the venue information would change from night to night. And this one says, Auditorium Theater, Main Street, Rochester, Sunday, January 19th. And of course, again, 1958. And it also says 2 shows, 3:30 and 8:30 p.m. Prices, $2, $2.50, $3, and $3.50, including tax. And then very unusual, that last line, if you can see that, Auditorium box office opens January 10th. Well, that's really advanced planning, and that means this thing could have easily been printed and even posted in December of 1957. So below the venue box, you do have the green block, I call it, the permanent portion of the poster. And check this out, if you can see through all the words and pictures, the design actually resembles a target. You've got a red circle in the middle, a white circle around that, and a big green circle around that. So I had not noticed that last time when I first blogged this 7 years ago. So as for the musicians, I did go into detail in that last video, so I won't be redundant, but I didn't get to absolutely everything, so I'll take care of that now. You've got floating head shots, floating heads of the headliners. You've got Don on the left and Phil on the right there. And Phil was just 19 years old, so this wasn't a show just for teenagers. In some case, it was by teenagers. And as a matter of fact, Paul Anka in the lower left there was only 16 years old at the time. Oh my goodness, wow. But, given historical hindsight, they were all hit makers, but obviously the two monsters that carry this poster are the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Although, I think this is definitely a case of, the sum is greater than all the individual parts added together, something like that, whatever that old expression is. So I'm going to get in a little bit closer for you here on Mr. Holly so you can see him a little bit better. And interestingly, it is just Buddy pictured, not all of the Crickets. And that's kind of weird because right below him they had room for all 5 faces of the Mello-Kings. And in fact, on last year's Biggest Show of Stars fall poster, it showed all 4 Crickets. But in this case, they opted for just Buddy Holly. But we have to remember that, the tour was certainly planned and the poster designed and everything in the fall of 1957 when the Crickets had just their one hit. That'll be the day. So, this is just too early to know how important they would become. And as far as the couple of performers that I didn't get to last time, the previously mentioned Mello-Kings there below Holly, well, it says Tonight on the poster, but, the Mello-Kings never had a hit, and that record only reached number 77 on the charts. And then, in the extreme lower left, you have, who's that, Al Jones with Mad Mad World. No picture of Al, and in fact, he never had a charting record. And then in the bottom stripe along the poster, we'll say the bottom of the poster, the black stripe, it does say Sam Donahue and his orchestra. That's an unusual name, not the usual Paul Williams or something like that. Well, it turns out, I guess, they were short band leaders at the time or something, because Sam Donahue, boy, he was no teen. He was 40 years old, positively ancient in 50s rock and roll, and he had worked with Tommy Dorsey, Benny Goodman, Stan Kenton, and lots of big band guys. And then all important down in that white margin bottom center, globe poster of Baltimore. So I've referenced a couple of times the blog I did of the poster from the night before in Buffalo. Well, just for fun, I put together a little graphic to show you quickly so we can see the two side by side. Okay, so here's the two side by side, with today's poster being on the right that I'm showing you in person. But the one on the left was a jumbo at 22 by 28 inches, and the one on the right is standard at 17 by 23 inches. So it doesn't matter that the cities and dates are different, because they probably made both sizes for many of the cities, if not all the cities. Then again, some promoters did not want to use concert posters at all. So what I obviously did was adjusted the pictures, so that, they're exact same size for best comparison. And these differences I'm going to show you, I admit they're somewhat arcane, we're esoteric, but it's fun. And you're either into the design and the mystery behind the design of these concert posters or you're not. And so that's why I saved it here for the end of the segment. So, what you might do is you might pause the video right here and see how many differences you can see between the two posters. They're like Finding Waldo. They're pretty small. But, why not, right? Why not have some fun with it? Go ahead and, I found 5 differences. Why don't you pause your video and see if you can spot the 5 and maybe another one. Okay, so the subtle differences between the jumbo poster on the left and the standard poster on the right. Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Well, on the jumbo poster, "and the" is in white, and on the standard, "and the" is in black ink. Hey, I told you they were subtle, okay? Eddie Cochran down at the bottom, both in the same ink color, but obviously quite a different font there. The Tune Weavers, the group name is all black on the jumbo, and as you can see, it is in red with a different type layout also on the standard size poster. Smack dab in the middle, the Rays right there. Well, on the jumbo, as you can see, the headshots are over a white star, and on the standard, they're over a green star. And last but not least, under the chins of Don and Phil Everly, on the jumbo you have those nice red stars, and oh man, for some reason they chose to leave them off the standard poster. I don't know why, but I miss those. I think those are pretty cool. So, it's funny, I was going to be real cute here and say, did I miss anything? Knowing that I caught it all. I'll be darned, when I was setting up the camera equipment, last possible second, I saw another difference, These things are hidden like Waldo, I'll tell you, and that is on the Rays, right in the middle. "The" is underlined on the jumbo, and it is not on the regular. That's just crazy to find another one. So, something, you might very well find one or two I haven't. Be sure to leave a comment under the video on the internet if you see any other differences. I've really crowed about the design here. It's just a shame these poster artists were so unsung, this was not artwork in the traditional sense like psychedelic posters, but boy, it sure is artwork of some kind, right? Just riveting and captivating, charismatic and fun. Wow. So just as with the psych world, it'd be so easy to have a tiny little John Smith or something buried in the corner, or Mary Smith. But, it just wasn't to be. They give Grammy Awards for Best Album Cover Design now and everything. Well, they should have for these as well, starting at least in the 1950s, if not earlier. Concert posters, they're an important marketing tool, and things like this are just dazzling. Just love it. So, thanks a lot for dropping by. Hope you loved it too, and we'll see you again for something soon. Take care. Bye-bye.